I don't want your bar fruit. I don't want it in my drink. The best case scenario that I would advise people to do is to squeeze the lemon and then discard.
And discard, yeah.
Hi, welcome to the Modern Waiter Podcast. I'm Marlon Joseph, the Modern Waiter, where we discuss all things restaurant business. Learn something. Laugh at something. On today's episode, we discuss why savvy restaurant goers avoid these 5 things while dining out. I will get you to see restaurants through a different set of eyes so you can stop making these 5 mistakes. As usual, I'm joined by my good friend Danny DeVilla.
What's up, people?
How long have you been in the restaurant business?
Forever. No.
Well, I illustrate the point that between the both of us, I have close to 30 years experience. You have over 20.
Yeah, over
20 years experience. So what our advice is, it's coming from real world experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Of what we've seen, what we've experienced.
Done, absolutely.
Yes.
Seen, done it all, and seen it all.
So we're going to go through the 5 things that you won't look at the same way after we talk about them. To illustrate my point of number 5, which is bar fruit.
Ooh.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
In the restaurant, it's someone's job to cut fruit. Yes. Now, what percentage of the time do you see someone wash the lemons?
Look at my eyes.
Exactly, right? So, what percentage of the time?
I don't know. I've never seen. I barely ever see it ever.
Okay, so a low percentage, if at all.
Oh, yeah.
So we're bordering never.
Yeah.
What percentage of people that cut lemons wear gloves?
About half.
Half.
Yeah.
That's
And it's definitely grown since the pandemic.
well.
Pre-pandemic?
I'm talking about your 20 years of experience, my 30 years of experience, all together. What percentage of people?
About half. Half? About half.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it's like
25?
9%. I wear gloves, but it's for different reasons. And how many people who cut lemons and prepare the bar fruit, how many times do they wash the knife after every use?
Now, if I'm cutting it, I wash my knife after every use.
Okay.
After I'm between lemon and lime. You know what I mean?
Okay, but when you're done...
Oh, yeah, of course. I tend to dish and it gets clean or whatever.
Okay.
Hopefully. But I always send it to dish.
What about the knife at the bar? You take that...
The paring knife?
Yeah.
Yeah, I run it through dish if I'm using it. And I mean, I always see my bartenders clean their, at least the spot, and I've been at a spot for a good chunk of my career. I've always seen them throw it into their dishwasher when they're done, or they bring it back to dish.
Gotcha.
So that part I always see keep clean.
Okay. What about when the bar fruit is out for use? It's garnish and it's used for garnishes. What percentage of the time does that container
Is full of ice?
refrigerated?
40%.
I'm like 10% that I've ever seen it.
They've been tightening them reins more and more and more. So over the years.
So your bar fruit stays in ice?
They try to. At least the first few hours.
Okay.
Before it sits in water.
Well, my point is it doesn't stay at a cold temperature.
No, not for long.
There's some places that they keep it in the cooler and then the bartender goes in. But at the places where the servers are responsible for garnishing all the drinks before they go out, those sit out.
Now, my lemons and limes, and I've worked with a very diligent young lady, you know what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. She keeps that shit iced the whole time.
Okay.
So that's where the bulk of my time comes from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not really illustrating apparel here where things that are supposed to be known are never done.
Yeah.
But giving our audience a new set of eyes.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's where the 40, because I've seen it not done.
Yes.
More times than not.
Exactly. You see it sitting on top of the bar.
Absolutely.
It's definitely not refrigerated there. So my point is, overnight, they'll take that same...
Oh, the leftover fruit?
Yeah.
Goes right back in the fridge.
And it goes right back in the fridge. And then...
They bring it right back out in the morning.
Right back out in the morning. And it stays there. It stays on top. And so, as we've described in other shows, there's a danger zone between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140? I forget.
Something like that. Yeah, we talk about it. Depends on what food is what.
But it's out.
Yeah.
in that range.
Oh, it's chills in that danger zone. It lives there. It marinates there.
And so we have a phrase, NFF.
Yeah.
No fucking fruit. Okay? I don't want your bar fruit. I don't want it in my drink. The best case scenario that I would advise people to do is to squeeze the lemon and then discard.
And discard, yes.
Yes. And
take the juice, if there is any.
Besides the fact that fruit, especially citrus, they have a lot of pesticides on them.
Yeah.
And you don't want that in your drink. And I see people dunk that whole lemon in there. And besides the fact of like things like cherries, maraschino cherries.
That's a whole different show.
That's a whole different show, right? What percentage of the time do you, in your experience, people that are garnishing fruit use tongs or picks?
Oh, 5%.
I mean, for me, it's a little bit more. I'd say about 30%.
Okay.
But that's not 100% of the time.
No.
and so that's number 5 on the list of things in a restaurant that you should avoid. And stay tuned to the end of the show. I'm going to give you one of my bonuses.
Oh, nice.
Guaranteed that you wouldn't even think about it. And number 4, there's something in our industry called side work.
Yes.
And side work, you want to describe what side work is for
side
people?
Work, so there's two forms of side work. There's the running side work, which keeps your restaurant moving throughout the flow of business. Mm-hmm. And then there's your opening and closing side work, which are pretty much the same. Opening is just when you're bringing the stuff out, and closing when you're packing it back up.
Yes. So it's the tasks that keep the restaurant moving.
Absolutely.
And it could be bringing glassware from the dishwasher out to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Could be bringing silverware from the dishwasher, or
to be
rolling
rolled.
it,
yep.
Or to the area of the stations that are
needs to get sorted, or
yes.
ice, or
maintaining coffee,
yeah,
things like that. Now you mentioned ice. That's my next one. That's my number 4. Is ice. Really tough one to avoid.
It's almost impossible.
So we're going to talk about one obvious and one not so obvious. The obvious one, what percentage of the time does an ice bin get cleaned out as side work?
Which one?
The ice bin. Where you store the ice
during the shift.
To be able during the shift to be dispensed.
If you have a good regiment, and let's say your spot has like a cleaning task, mm-hmm. we'll say twice a week. And
okay.
that's being optimal. I'm being honest. And unless you have breakage, and then you're cleaning it, you're rinsing it out because you have to make sure there's no glass or anything like that.
Right.
There. But for the most part, you try to bleach and like run through the whole system of cleaning it twice a week. My spot does it, I think, like Sundays and Wednesdays, mm-hmm. which are the two, one coming off a busy weekend,
okay.
and then going into your busy weekend.
What percentage of the time do you see an ice scoop fall on the floor?
Oh, once a shift.
At least, right?
Once a shift at least.
How many times have you seen that actually run through a dish and gotten a new ice scoop?
50% of the time. It depends on who's doing it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if they're conscious about it, so I always see it get rinsed off, mm-hmm. but to run through the full on the sanitation process, we'll say half the time.
Rinse off, you might as well just lick it. I used to be a stickler on that because I see people, they just pick it up and they keep on going. I said, listen.
You can't do that at all.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to at least pretend to rinse it.
At the bare minimum, you got to rinse it.
Yeah.
Okay?
If not,
you got to get whatever hit off of it.
Yes.
Just to keep that point.
And the very fact that we're discussing it is a problem, right? Ice becomes a big issue.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't isolate, a cube of ice that's been touched. What percentage of the time have you seen people use their hands to scoop?
Not as much.
Not often.
No.
I would say 5%.
Yeah, it's very little.
Yes. But I know that you've seen someone use a glass.
Oh, that drives me crazy.
Right?
Yeah, and that's because that leads to breakage.
Because
glass can chip. And you can never see that chip. You know what I mean?
You can never see it.
You're just a rim of a glass. It's like, oh, it's kind of rough. Yo, that could easily be from why some idiot mm-hmm. stuck that thing in the glass and it cracked.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Not cracked, but those little things over time is going to happen.
Even my whole premise is the side of a cup,
yeah.
even if you're using plastic, or you're using a tin, which you see some
bartenders
do, you're holding the side of the tin.
Absolutely.
And you're putting that
scooping
into the ice.
So whatever's on your hand is going in the tin too.
And your whole hand is getting in there too. And that's another reason why ice becomes problematic. My last point with the ice, with the side work, what percentage of the time have you seen as side work the ice machine, the source of the ice, being cleaned out?
Never.
You want to keep that thing full.
Yeah.
You don't even want to even think about shutting that thing down.
No, it's a machine. It's running all the time.
But it's not a self-cleaning machine.
No. Do they have a self-cleaning mechanism on them? I've never seen one with it because I've never had ice. I mean, actually, no, we run out of ice, but you know what I mean? I've never seen it not producing ice.
You would have to shut it down, empty it, and get
then
it all up in the guts and
then
clean
let
it out, rinse it out, get it.
Now, they're supposed to.
The air quotes.
There's supposed to be a maintenance schedule when the people actually come out and they clean those parts that are in the machine. Because we're not, as servers or people, we don't even want to take the thing apart. We're terrified we're going to break something naturally.
Yo, that thing breaks naturally
on its own.
Yes.
So, but I think there is like there's supposed to be a routine schedule. They're supposed to have like a checklist or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, when they come in maintenance machines.
Yes.
And that, I think at that point they're supposed to do that part for us. But who knows?
Have you ever seen or heard?
I've seen maintenance people come in to fix the ice machine. That's about it.
Thus, the ice being an issue.
Yeah.
How do you avoid it, though? You gravitate to other beverages that don't require ice.
Oh, we need ice in our business.
It's a lifeblood.
Yeah, ice keeps your profit up.
Yes, you need ice. Gotta have it. I'm not telling you not to, because I drink.
We drink outside all the time.
All the time. I'm just saying, close your eyes and imagine.
Oh yeah.
What's happening?
True.
In the ice bin or the ice machine.
Keep your God made dirt don't hurt thing in your mind when you're drinking a beverage.
My last point with the ice. How many times have you seen an ice bucket get ran through dish? Or being cleaned out?
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
And I'm the guy who makes them order the new buckets when I start to see them chip. Because some people, instead of using a scoop to fill up your ice bucket, they'll just throw that whole thing in there.
Yes.
And that's almost the same thing like with the glass.
Yes.
You know, as you're scooping it out, it starts to, you know, that's, even though it's plastic, it can leave residue, it can break, it can chip.
Those aren't,
and that's weight, yeah.
And they're supposed to be hung.
Exactly.
A lot of times they're stored on the floor, and you're putting that dragging that right into the bin.
Right into the nasty.
Yeah.
From the nasty into the other.
Yes. And that's how the transference of the germs happens.
Absolutely.
And I'm one, when I see debris in there, I take it to dish and I get it,
rinsed out,
absolutely, and things like that, because I look at it as a thing of, this is what I use.
We use it. So you want to keep it as clean as possible for yourself, if not anybody else.
Yes. In fact, when we
be selfish with it. Clean it for yourself, if not anyone else.
Exactly.
And we're talking to all those servers out there and
yes.
bartenders. If you won't do anything else for yourself, you clean that ice for yourself, if not anybody else.
It's like the lemons. You get the lemons in a totally different area, which is the walk-in.
Yeah,
right?
which stays cold the whole time. It's nice and chill.
Stays cold, nice and clean, and stuff like that. And the floor of the walk-in isn't necessarily, there's a lot of traffic that goes on.
Oh, there's traffic. There's condensation. It depends on how the drainage is. You can walk into a wet floor in a walk-in.
Exactly.
Okay.
Say your lemon dropped on the floor.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'm thinking about.
Absolutely.
How many times? And I've washed them. I've washed, and I've even been questioned, why are you washing the lemons? Oh, it fell on the floor. Oh, good man. Because I think of myself.
Yeah.
Not in a selfish way. Yes, in a selfish way, but not in a selfish way,
Because I want to use this bar fruit technically.
Especially
when you fresh cut it. It's like, oh.
Yes, let me make some tea.
I know I made this myself. I'm good to go. Okay? It hasn't been sitting out. Exactly. It's fresh off the tilt.
or people that cut fruit on the back of the trays.
Yeah.
Terrible.
No
anyway, let's move on.
What's number 3?
Number 3. This is something that you and I discuss all the time. Specials.
Ooh.
When you go to a restaurant, I don't want to hear your specials.
No, not most of the time I don't.
Picture this. You go to a general store, and the items of misfit toys, things that don't really haven't been sold and they're marked down. Imagine you put them in a pretty shelf and you bring it to the front. That's what the specials are in a lot of places.
Absolutely.
And I'll describe to you what I mean. There are specials that are simply only made as specials. Those items you can trust.
Yes.
Okay.
Like if you see a certain fish on that, like on the specials, and you don't see it on the menu, you're safe.
You're safe.
That means we ordered that fish for that special.
100%.
Okay.
That's how you can tell.
Yes. Now, if you see a creation, okay, that has a bunch of different things from the menu,
yes,
that means we're trying to get rid of it.
That's what a special ends up being.
Yeah.
It's an avenue. I won't call it like a rule.
No.
But it's an avenue
Definitely
for
an avenue.
you to get rid of some stuff that's about to turn.
Yeah, you get creative with it.
You get creative with it. You get that jambalaya going.
Yeah.
You get that seafood soup going. You get that, for instance, what...
Well, the good thing about soup is, at least, soup is something it's going to be cooked all the way through. It's something you shouldn't have to worry about temperatures and contamination. It's a full-on process.
Should.
I'm saying should.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. As you should. Let's get back to the specials. And you made an excellent point. Meaning, you say you have snapper on this menu and you have snapper as a special, run away.
Yeah.
Because that snapper on the special, most likely...
It's about to turn.
It's about... It's long in the tooth.
Yeah. It's teetering on the edge.
It's teetering on the edge, and you got to push it.
Yeah.
And that's what that platform is. So I would beware of all specials.
Absolutely.
Beware of all specials and sauces and things like that. They're going to have sauce all on them, and it's going to, cover the texture and the true nature of that,
that dish.
Of that dish. And so, yes, I don't even I don't even consider it. And when I do, I make sure that it's not, like you said, on the regular menu. Now, funny that you mentioned soup. That is my number 2. Okay? Soup. It can be the catch-all of the restaurant.
Oh, for sure.
It's nothing wrong with maximizing profits. And by all means, and to be fair, soup it can be very safe.
Mm-hmm.
My issue with soup is that you don't know if it's from day 1 or day 10.
True.
Soup of the day could be soup of the week.
Yes. But you're hoping that you're at a busy enough place to where they're going through their soup fast enough and everything's okay.
Yeah, you hope.
You're hoping.
What if the soup's just not a hit?
You're right.
Right? When's the last time you had soup at a restaurant?
Actually yesterday.
No way.
Yeah.
What'd you have? Your
Clam
French
chowder.
onion soup?
No, not at my job. I was out to dinner. I think I told you about it before the show.
Yeah.
I was out to dinner and I had the restaurant's clam chowder that we were at.
Clam chowder. Okay. Now, lobster bisque tends to be a big one.
Okay.
If you have lobster bisque at a place...
I don't eat lobster, first of all.
Okay. Kudos for you. I don't either. I won't go into it on the show. However, if you're unaware of how they make a lobster bisque, if you get lobster bisque from a place that doesn't sell lobster...
Yeah, you're already way behind though.
Exactly.
You're finished.
Because not only it's like people think of lobster meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. You can get lobster. You need the lobster shells for lobster sauces and bisques and things like that. You don't really think about it, but you need the shells.
Yes.
Same way you would need the soup for stock, the bones for stock, and,
absolutely,
and things like that. You need the shells. And if you don't get them, nothing wrong with it, but you're eating it out of a bag.
Where are you getting it from? Where are you getting that fish from?
Exactly. And so it's not a terrible thing. It's just problematic for me.
Yes.
In my sensibilities.
Because you don't know if they're making it in-house, where it's coming from. You're not, you're hoping that it's not out of a bag. Okay?
Yes.
And unless you know for sure, then don't even tempt yourself.
That's the point.
Yes.
You avoid these things.
Yes.
Just so that you don't have to get into any trouble, and then all of a sudden you got the bubble guts.
Yeah. The next day you're hurting. Hurting.
Now, you want to guess what my number 1 thing is without reading upside down? It's an innocuous one.
I don't know.
It's tap water.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why. I'm not here to bag on the quality of the water. That's not my boggle with it. My issue with it, it's the container that the water is poured out of.
Okay. The gun or the whatever? Or are you talking about like when it's into a pitcher? Okay. Yes.
When it's into a pitcher. very often the pitchers are not taken care of.
True.
They're not washed. They're not cleaned out. I mean, you have to manually, you're getting in there and cleaning the pitchers and things like that.
Because most of the time, even if you run it sanitation wise, okay, you don't know what that pitcher's used before. You might use it for iced tea. Mm-hmm. Iced tea leaves a residue.
Yes.
Okay. And no matter how clean you steam that thing, that residue's not coming out. It's almost like a coffee cup, where if you don't bleach the coffee cup after a certain amount of time, they're going to start turning brown inside.
Yes.
Now, we're not saying that contaminant is, yes, it's been cleaned and with the normal cleaning utensils, and for most parts it's clean. But when it comes to water, water attaches to things.
Yes.
Okay.
It takes on the form. It takes on the flavor.
Whatever it touches. Yeah. So water is the same idea, where whatever you had in that thing before, you're tasting it. When you're drinking a bottle of water,
yes,
you can taste the plastic of the bottle of water.
Exactly.
Water attaches to stuff.
Yes.
So that is the biggest issue with the water. Now, like you said, if it's coming from a gun directly, hey, I'm okay with it. Let it go right into the glass. It's not bad at all. That you're just drinking tap water. It's tap water.
Yeah, but here's the issue. When you're offering 150 people water,
and when you're trying to refill their water,
you're not sitting there out of the gun.
No, not the whole time. Your initial might come from a gun. Like if I'm going to a table off the rip, all my regular guests, I'm starting at the gun, and then I'm refilling with the pitcher. With the pitcher.
Yeah, so that's my whole issue with that. My number one thing is the container that you're pouring it from, not the source.
Yeah.
You can argue, people drink tap water. That's fine. That's up to you. I don't. But I'm not here to bag on the water itself.
No, we're bagging on the source of where it's coming from.
Yes, the pitcher.
Yes,
the container. So if it's let's talk about the plastic pitcher. If it's a plastic pitcher, a lot of times it has the grooves in it. After wear, right? And plastic, it's the hard plastic, but
yeah. But
it's gonna hold on to some
shit.
And if it's the metal pitcher, many times it's really not sanitized like it should be. They're just put away and then brought back out for the next use. And I know a lot of places are going to be diligent about it, but why take the chance?
True. Like I said, I mean, I've worked there and they clean them. But that cleaning, like you said, if you mix any other contaminant, like if you mix iced tea, let's say you just say, oh, well, I got 6 Cokes at this table. Coke can clean a penny, yo. Okay? a penny that was in the ground for 100 years, you throw it in Coke, you pull it out in an hour, that thing is brand new. Think about that.
Exactly. And so those pitchers aren't only water pitchers, is your point. I'm assuming,
absolutely,
right?
Yes.
And so when you get a bottle of water, and I ask for a bottle of water, hopefully it comes in glass.
Yeah.
I'm not going to really...
You're not going to freak out if it comes to you in plastic, but...
Correct.
For the most nicer spots, they usually do come in glass, and you're usually happy about it.
Yeah, and then all you got to worry about is where that water came from, because a lot of the waters out there are merely filtered waters from the tap anyway, and then it's purified water and not spring water. And even if spring water, maybe some deer is hoofing it through the thing. It could be. I'm just telling
Water's water. We get it. Okay. Yes. Unless you did it yourself, caught it in the rain, ran the process through it, okay, and watched it get oxidized and filtered out, and then you put it into a thing, you don't know where it came from.
Exactly. So you don't know where it came from, but you sure can know what container is being...
Absolutely.
Right? And so you've made it this far in our show. I promised you a bonus.
What is the bonus? I am ready.
The bonus is, for me, for all you wine drinkers out there, I know this does not pertain to you.
No, not directly, but I drink a little wine every once in a while.
I avoid a glass of wine.
Oh, no, that is Marlon's thing since day one.
Even as a single diner.
Yeah.
Avoid the glass of wine.
He is popping a bottle.
I'm popping a bottle.
He's taking the bottle home if he doesn't finish it.
And so in Florida, we have a Merlot to go law where if you've purchased a bottle of wine and food, you can take the remainder of the wine home. I'm sure it's not in every state. I'm sure you can handle a bottle of wine or even get the 3 glasses out of it. The point I'm trying to make is control. You control how long this bottle has been opened.
Exactly.
And you can identify what the product is.
You know it's the wine you bought.
Yes.
B, you know it's open right in front of you.
Yes.
And C, once it is open, when you take it home, you know how long you got with it.
Yes. All great points, because you can be subject to what's called in the business a pour off.
Yeah.
Okay. You can want your XYZ wine and they pour ABC in the glass, and you can suspect all you want, but it's out of your control.
But you don't know yet.
And even if you get that glass of product that you ordered, you have no idea how long it's been there. So if you're ordering a glass of wine that's either very expensive.
Yes, the higher end, the longer it's probably set, especially if it is like by the glass. And that is, I always see spots. The better is if you're especially gonna get something high end, you want it to be, get the bottle. You're already spending the money anyway, so what's the point?
Yes. You're at a restaurant, you get robbed.
Yeah. If you're doing house wine, they're probably burning through it.
Yes.
For the most part, you're pretty safe. I guarantee it hasn't been open for more than 24 hours.
Not even, man.
Yeah. Usually they're
cruising through
They're flying through it, okay?
Yes.
Any house wine you can drink by the glass. I'm not going to tell you can't, because I've seen it. People go, well, how do I go? Dude, I am flying through that wine. I probably opened that 10 minutes ago, if you're at most. If
I can open one for you right
now, because I know it's going to go, okay?
Yes.
That is not sitting there overnight. Unless you walk into the restaurant at the end of the shift and they popped a brand new bottle for you, that's the only bottle that's sitting till the next morning. And by the start of lunch, it's already gone.
Absolutely. And overnight, this is really no problem.
No, yeah.
What you really want to avoid is days.
Absolutely.
Or we're a very hot climate here.
Yes.
Even indoors.
You want storage. You want to see what the storage is like and where it's at. And that's what taints wine anyways. Yeah. It's heat,
Yeah.
If it's not at room temperature, that's where you get the issue where the issue lies.
Yes. Heat and time.
Heat and time.
Yes. And so those are my 5 things to avoid.
Plus the bonus
from people who've been in the business for a long time, and it just is what it is. We're really, it's not a referendum of how we should change the business.
No,
we're talking about flawed people in a very cost-driven business, and a lot of these don't apply to certain restaurants.
Sure.
But how do you know? How do I know?
How do you know what restaurant you're in? How do you know what team is doing what and XYZ? So if you take it as a rule of thumb across the board, you're always safe.
Yes, take it as a rule of thumb all across the board. And let us know if there's anything that you missed or anything that's so appalling you can't believe it. Let me know in the comments or email me, themodernwaiter@gmail.com, or follow me on Instagram @themodernwaiterpodcast. I'm Marlon Joseph, The Modern Waiter.
I'm Danny Villain. Subscribe, people.
We'll see you next time.
Later.